I'm a big fan of this Krete clear seal. Let's throw some on. It's a urethane sealer that brings out well, I shouldn't say it brings out the detail of a statue, but what it does, it takes a dull, boring statue that looks dry and I don't want to say decrepit, but it just brings so much style to this statue. It goes on foamy, which when I first started using it, it took a minute for me to wonder why it was so foamy, but it's just the way it is. Goes on foamy. I like using this as opposed to the Sherwin-Williams because number one, it's cheaper. I think it's $40 for that gallon, whereas Sherwin-Williams is $80, $90 a gallon. But also, you get a third more usage out of this urethane. Goes on fast too, real fast, because of that foam. Once you put it on, the foam lets you know where you just put it on. There it goes. Can't ask for anything better than that. So this takes about 20 minutes to dry on this statue. And what I like doing, so I don't have any air pockets on my statue, I'll just go over the foam, try to get as much of it off as I can without it caking up. I guess caking up is what I'm looking to say. I don't want it caked up. Just like that. We'll come back, take a look at it in 20 minutes. I'm going to throw some clear seal on this skull without getting it all over my shirt. This is a urethane based sealer and I really like this sealer. Goes on super fast. It's relatively inexpensive, $40–50 for that gallon of it. When a statue sits, when a statue cures and sits for 30 to 40 days, it becomes dry. So what the clear coat does, makes it shiny. Puts a protective coat on it because these are outdoor statues. And I found this clear coat, oh, there it goes. I found this clear coat lasts about 3 years before you have to put another coat of it on. And we're going to come back in about 20 minutes and I'll show you what the finished product looks like when all the foam dries and the sealer dries. Let's do this hedgehog. Throw some Krete on this. This is a really popular statue as well. Not as popular as my hippo, but it is a popular statue. This is one of the few statues that I do both a latex paint on as well as this Krete. Usually I'll just do one or the other, but this one is really popular both ways. I'll usually do a gray base coat with a white dry brushing on this hedgehog. But you see how fast this goes on. It's such a good product. See the fall leaves in the background. From April up until the middle of November, end of November, I'm making statues, pouring concrete in the molds, painting the statues, selling all the statues, and then once the winter time comes, that all dies down. Stop doing that, and I go straight to mold making, which I really enjoy the mold making part of it more than the statue making. So we're going to let this sit, and then we're going to come back to it. Let's do this skull. This is a smaller version. If you look at my other videos, you'll see I think it's 16 or 17 inch tall version of this statue. There's 7 small skull molds that I made last year, and they're really popular with the younger crowd. So I try to make sure I have a large inventory of the skull molds, both with the clear coat on them as well as the dry brushed statues. People love their skulls. And then once I'm done doing all the sides, always go back over your work and make sure you didn't miss a spot. I should be using my Lazy Susan, but I gotta find it. It's not on my table. Some foam in his eyes and nose. Get that out. This is going to look really good. This is going to look really good. Come back to it. Much faster to use this than it is the latex paint. Start at the bottom and pretty much all your excess, start at the top, but pretty much all your excess can just go down to the bottom, work your way down to the middle, down to the bottom of the statue. Just like that. Start at the top, work your way down, turn. I should be using my Lazy Susan, but I'm not. There it is. I didn't do any shows in July or August of this year. All I did for those 2 months after I got done working my normal job is come home and pour. That's all that I did for those 2 months. It was too hot out to be sitting at craft shows, at flea markets. It was too hot to do that. But it wasn't hot enough to make statues, and I knew that I was going to be needing these statues to sell in the fall, when it's more enjoyable to sell statues. So there's enough here to keep busy up until the spring of next year. And plus I'm going to be pouring, you know, I still pour now. I pour now in the fall, as well as paint. And go to, I have 2 craft shows scheduled for the fall of this year, and if there are any good flea markets that pop up, chances are I will be doing them if it's not too cold. A little bit goes a long way with this seal Krete. Final inspection. And we on to the next one. Let's put some seal Krete concrete sealer on this sugar skull. Makes a dry, boring statue come to life. Less than a minute. And this statue will look like $1,000,000. It does foam, so you do have to make sure that that foam just gets brushed in. So here's an after of using the urethane. I could probably get 150 small statues done with that 1 gallon. And I brought out, that's before and that's after. I don't know how the camera is going to pick that up, but you get the idea. Looks a hell of a lot better.